What would Jesus do? Well, this question is quite interesting because it usually follows certain judgment on others, and the judgment can be quite unrighteous and subjective. Nobody on this earth is Jesus, and nobody exactly knows what would Jesus do but Jesus himself only. One thing for sure, I have seen plenty of self-righteous ones judging others with this WWJD, what would Jesus do? In fact, Lucifer was the same way before he was kicked out of heaven and became Satan on earth. Pondering what would Jesus do would and could be quite subjective for one thing. Since nobody is Jesus on earth, judging others, whether one would be Jesus-like or not, can be quite subjective. In fact, it is subjective. One who is Jesus-like for someone can be no Jesus-like whatsoever for the other. Because what's right to one can be wrong for the other, and vice versa. And of course, there is a big difference between what's right or wrong and what's true or false. What would Jesus do? Certainly, he will not pursue what is right subjectively, but rather he will pursue what's truth, because he is the truth. As I have mentioned, what's right can be wrong and what's wrong can be right, but what's true is true, and what's true cannot be false. Whether it's true or truer, both are still true, and the truth doesn't change, whereas what's right or wrong can change. It's subjective, therefore, to declare what's Jesus-like or not. Judging someone as Jesus-like or not depends on subjective point of view, especially if it's based on what's right or wrong. For example, it is right to be nice to others, but it's not kind to be nice all the time. There is a difference between being nice and being kind. I would say being nice comes from the head, and being kind comes from the heart. One can be nice even though he is not kind, and he can be kind even though he's not nice. Anyone can be nice with practice, but not anyone can be kind. So the WWJD, what would Jesus do, encourages judgments against others. If it's a righteous judgment, then that would be fine, but if it's an unrighteous judgment, which most all judgments are, it's actually going against what Jesus said when he said not to judge others unrighteously. What's the difference between unrighteous judgment and righteous judgment? Well, I would say simply the righteous judgment is based on the truth, and the unrighteous judgment is based on what's right. The righteous judgment, because it's based on the truth, is always consistent and does not change. However, unrighteous judgment, because it's based on what is right or wrong, it can be inconsistent and change. This is why also Christ said not to judge others based on the appearance, what it seems or what it appears to be. If the judgment is based on someone's subjective point of view, it can be quite false rather than true. For example, during the crusade, many people were killed in the name of God. It might have been right for those crusaders to kill ungodly people, But is it true to kill people in general? Likewise, there were many martyrs because they shared different doctrines than Roman Catholic Church, for example. It might have been right for the Roman Catholic Church to kill such saints and people, but is it true to kill at all as a church? Likewise, it might have been right for John Calvin to burn Servetus alive, but is it true to kill at all as a Christian, as a saint? So obviously the answer is no. And there are still many cases like that even now, here on YouTube as well. So what would Jesus do? Well, nobody knows, including Satan, the accuser of brethren. So I suggest you save your judgment against others and let Jesus do his job during the judgment. Meanwhile, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. What would Jesus do? Certainly, he will not judge others unrighteously, whether someone is Jesus-like or not. He will certainly not want you to measure and judge others with what would Jesus do, because only Satan, the accuser of brethren, will accuse you with what would Jesus do.